And we are right into champion select. No waiting. Zero waiting, right?
Yeah, zero
That's
waiting.
what we that's what
Right on time.
we go for right there. So as you see, top of the screen, patch 7.16. And Team Dignitas is going for their second ban here, fourth of the game in phase one as we start off the gauntlet. FlyQuest versus Dignitas.
And already a lot of focus over on Keane, who had been struggling in playoffs, really getting exploited, even in the series that they had won.
Yeah.
So you can see that they're trying to get that preferential matchup for High to give him the ability to maybe take over some of these games, to look to carry, and that's two bans already targeted his way, and a lot of AD carry bans coming through here too.
Stopping Dignitas' chance at that Tristana. Pushing down early turrets, also controlling the lane and giving Altec safety to farm alone. 8 seconds left for Dignitas' final ban here in phase one. What does FlyQuest prioritize with the Rakan combo kind of being cut out there?
It could be something like the Jarvan. They have had actually a really high priority on J4 throughout this entire split. And now it feels like priority is actually rising on Jarvan. So we'll see if they're going to go that way. There also are some other options, such as the Zac and things like this, but it is going to be J4, and not a big surprise to me because individually how much Moon likes this champion, as well as its kind of rise in the meta. Things like Gragas and Zac could be pretty high priority as answers for Dignitas if they're willing to actually play around the fact that Shrimp would have a bit of a weaker early game. You also can just simply go for something like the Gragas and leave your jungle or top pick for a little bit later so you can have this as a flex to threaten. But it actually looking like it is going to be probably Gragas and Zac.
14 seconds for that lock-in. We did see Shrimp's Gragas having a bit of trouble in the early game when he played it against Omar God and the rest of Counter Logic Gaming. And they switch over to the Kog'Maw.
All right, so Kog'Maw, as we talked about, has had very high priority. There are also some other hyper carries that are still around. We've seen Jinx actually a little bit in playoffs.
Yeah.
We have seen things such as Twitch actually still be quite popular. And when you're going for the Galio, you're probably looking for it to be a Galio mid. We have also seen Balls playing this, but in general, it is a much more popular pick for that mid lane because you can roam to both side lanes. And I think because you're not stuck in this long lane where you can be abused by some of those really tough matchups for him.
Xayah Rakan pickup lately.
All right.
Favored heavily. Is it still with the Xayah?
Yeah, I mean, Xayah Rakan has really kind of come back pretty heavily in the meta as Caitlyn and some of these other champions receive nerfs, and Xayah, I believe, got a little bit of a buff recently. So they have really kind of jumped to the top. Dignitas already broke up the possibility of this combo, though, by taking out Rakan, so we could still see it paired with something like a Thresh, perhaps, if that's still available. But, Dignitas having the next pick in the draft could be looking to take that away, and I'm interested to see which way Adrian is going to go, if he's going to be playing more of a protection-style support, something like a Janna or a Soraka or a Lulu or something along those lines, or if he wants to go for playmaking, because with the Gragas and the Gnar, you already have quite a bit of playmaking, and you may want to just try to go to a protection style player for a Kog'Maw.
Exactly. I mean, they take the Thresh away from him. As you're saying, that would be more towards the Alistar if they were to throw a third beef ball in there, as Jad would say. But it looks like they may just try to go for that protection from him. Their final ban on the side of Dignitas after that Camille is going to be a LeBlanc. So they do focus high once again.
Yeah, and a couple of bans towards high as well from Dignitas, so it's two on both sides. Solution obviously is targeted more as that mid lane ban.
Right.
LeBlanc here as well. I am very excited to see if this is going to be going to high or balls, because we could still see something kind of crazy coming out here from high if he wants to go for a new pick, something that he has shown. Dignitas, we're going to find out now, are they going to save their mid lane pick for last? And that is very likely the case unless they think that there is a contested support that they could steal away from FlyQuest.
Right.
Some teams, though, do like to actually leave their support pick to last if they're going to go for more of a general type champion, such as the Orianna. The Orianna is a pretty safe line pick.
The Janna pick away as well. So a good kind of drafting by both teams. Keane doesn't get to counter, but he still gets a good pick for himself overall. I'd say they still get the better of the trade there with a shield for Kog'Maw. But the thought of taking away the Janna probably hits Adrian just a little bit, but he's still got a few more champions to play. They're going to let that one count down and lock in so they can use all of the time necessary to discuss what's going to happen.
Now, as you said, I think this makes quite a bit of sense because it is both a strong champion for themselves, but also a takeaway from Adrian. Something that would pair well with the Kog'Maw. There is still champions such as Lulu available though, so if Dignitas wants to go for that sort of protection style comp, they still could go that route. And we do now know that this should be a mid lane Galio. It's going to be the jungle Jarvan, and Ball's going to be going to one of his classics with the Rumble. This would actually be pretty interesting if they elect to go for it, but I don't think they will. Something like the Sona, if they want to go this route, actually matches up very, very well against Janna. Sustained champions in general usually kind of outlane Janna. She's more about these stopping all-ins rather than stopping poke, rather than stopping these kind of lanes that can whittle you down. And Nami is actually very, very powerful duo simply because you can actually throw your E as Nami onto the Kog'Maw when he is actually going to engage. You get 3 super, super powerful attacks. It keeps them slowed so they're actually in range with you. And especially when people are trying to play the Storm Raider Surge style builds, it can often keep them in range with the slow long enough for you to actually proc that Storm Raider Surge. You can continue to chase them down. So there's some very powerful synergy there. Could be pretty interesting.
Interesting. Been seeing this a little bit more. We'll see if WildTurtle keeps his barrier and heal on Lemonnation, as that has been kind of traded in for a few more engages, especially with the invulnerability chance. You can dodge and then cancel out what is coming at you.
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting because, as you said, we have been seeing those summoners swapped around, but more commonly, it's heal on support and cleanse on the AD carry.
Right.
So this is even more kind of defensive, and I guess the thought process here is, hey, we might not actually have a good exhaust target. So if we don't have a good exhaust target, you can simply put heal on Lemonnation. That's another way to actually proc the Ardent Sensor if he's going to go that route.
That's
and
true.
You have the barrier there on WildTurtle. So this is an extremely defensive setup there. And I mean, the main people you want to actually exhaust in this is probably, Orianna and Kog'Maw. And Janna would often have to miss position to actually get up there and get that exhaust on them. So this is pretty cool. Makes a lot of sense.
And we are about to be on to the Rift. FlyQuest versus Dignitas as they try to make their way towards Worlds. And Dignitas is looking to right the wrongs of what happened last week as they try to put some wins here on the Rift. FlyQuest looking to do the same thing, and they are going to put up one hell of a fight, as they have said coming into this match.
I'm also very interested to see how Dignitas is going to play the level 1s because they had some catastrophic level 1s against CLG in that 3rd place match, and they are just spreading out. They're playing line of scrimmage. This is pretty much the most defensive level 1, the safest you can take, and it makes a lot of sense after they almost just straight up lost a lot of their games against CLG at level 1 with some more aggressive play that CLG was prepared for and really capitalized on.
It's very true. The early game kind of just seemed to not play to the safety that we usually see Dignitas doing, moving around in numbers. They do everything by ones, and then kind of not give the I don't even know, respect. That's the word.
Yeah.
Not give the respect to a certain situation. Be like, yeah, somebody might be in that brush, but I'll be able to flash to get out. When you don't want to do that at all, because that's what it seemed like.
Yeah, you can sometimes get yourself caught into these difficult situations, especially against a team like CLG, who is really known for their level 1 preparation and for really studying teams. And especially, that's why you want to see any top team constantly mixing up how they play level 1s. Because even if you just play it very, very standard, very defensively, there are ways to exploit this if you play the same level 1 every single time, or if you fall into these patterns every single time. Because people can set up 5-man stacks, they can do creative pathing like, body slamming over the Dragon Wall on Gragas and flanking people and things like this. So there are ways to actually exploit those level 1 strats, and you got to keep it fresh.
All the time. Let's see what happens. We haven't seen too many like the 5-man bushwhacks anymore where you send everybody to one lane, because getting those first few and now level 2s always means so much more in the game, so you can't be across the map. So there's a few things that'll direct you into a situation, but I love used to seeing junglers go, I ganked you but did this, and now I have to go red to red. So they run across mid.
Yeah.
They're showing you, but they're forcing the hand of the game as well.
Exactly, and it's one of those things that, while it's not worth to do crazy plays like that every single time.
Exactly.
But you mix it in every once in a while. You do, if you're playing Jarvan, every so often you level 2 gank, right? You do red buff, you gank right away. You do these sorts of paths, people have to respect it. Even if they don't think you will do this play, if they do not actually put down that early ward, they could be giving up that first blood. They could actually be, giving away that game. So it makes players nervous, and it makes you play around these tendencies. So that is one of the things that you really see from the top level junglers and from the top level teams, mixing up level 1s, using interesting strats, using interesting paths to make the other teams always show respect to this. And speaking of interesting starts, you would not expect Gragas to be starting on a blue with a path like this. He is getting a leash, and they should have that information, as Moon is going to be getting super leashed at the same time. But the fact of the matter is, you expect Gragas to actually start on Wraiths, and he is not. He's starting the other side of the map, so he's doing a bot to top path, very likely trying to match where Moon will end up at the end of his path. They could be trying to prepare, for some sort of a top-side gank where he could then be in position to counter gank. So already some mixing up.
Innovation.
There you go.
But even to that aspect, we've seen the hard leashes now where red gets pulled while Raptors is being done. Just small advancements. And now we are to the laning phase. Looks like Moon goes straight for the Scuttle Crab, and Altec goes for some of that damage. He gets the Tide Caller's Blessing to start things off. Actually, Moon's going to pass up Scuttle Crab. Already doubled up from just camp to camp there. No race, no smalls, and he'll be looking for Shrimp.
Yeah, and he's actually going to run into Shrimp, and it is a level 3 Moon because of that super leash. And he has a smite where Shrimp does not, so this is a free camp for Moon. And already the FlyQuest jungler, thanks to that super leash, will get a pretty nice advantage here. He's going to be a decent amount actually ahead in the experience. He's about level 3.5. Where Shrimp is not yet 3. So this is pretty nice start from Moon, although it's it's not first blood, it's not the craziest of things. He can actually path right back to the other side, and he's going to continue trying to set up for these aggressive plays. Could actually go and look to fight Shrimp in his own jungle if he wants.
A little rotation from Adrian to make sure that's not happening. A quick back from Altec as well.
And that is actually pretty cool from Altec. So they had a very good shove early on, and the fact that he's able to push it in fully, he says, hey, why don't I just go back to base now? Especially if you're going to go for a more defensive option, you can get away with something like the cull oftentimes against lanes such as Janna, because while she is fantastic defensively, she's not good at setting up the ganks. So if Altec can actually play it safe, cash out on this cull, he's already going to be getting himself a pretty nice advantage on that bot side.
Adrian plays it safe in lane as well, showing, but not too much, like, hey, Altec's still here. He gets to stay as well and soak up experience, so no loss for him.
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? You have to have both players on the same page. You can't have Adrian actually going aggressive and showing too much threat, even if he doesn't think that the Janna will jump on him, because you're going to have to play around how Altec wants to actually match that. It'll be interesting to see if FlyQuest decides to actually do an early base of their own to try to match, or if they're going to want to stay in lane and try to hit kind of more of an impressive vibe.
Lemonnation just picking up coins. Still has quite a few biscuits to use if they do ever go aggressive. But they seem to be getting equal trades out of this lane. 23 to 26 in that mid, as it's obviously just a constant push for the Galio until he heads to a side lane at 6. Great stun from Turtle, and that is definitely advantage to the lane. Adrian being Nami will help sustain though.
Yeah, certainly will, and Adrian has a fair bit of mana, so he can actually spend all his mana before he goes back to base, and it won't be too big of a deal. So they're trying to keep the lane somewhat neutral, and that's why they're actually non-stop auto-attacking on these waves, because what they're trying to do is hold the wave in a position where WildTurtle cannot base, because the lane will be frozen. This is why Turtle is pushing up very aggressively, trying to shove in. They do reset the wave, and this will allow Turtle to actually go for a base himself. So now the plan then becomes push as fast as you can, probably here for Altec and Adrian, and see if they can actually shove in. And we'll see if they decide to hold the lane neutral or try to shove, and they will try to shove and then maybe actually go for a base of themselves. So some pretty interesting back and forth.
Yeah, Turtle hold for now, just a bit short off that BF sword. Looks like they'll have a bit of a mismatch. Keane walking out of lane, but it's resetting for both him and High, so no loss on that. Summoner spells still all around the board. Somebody might try to get a flash kill out here in the last second. Now there's just fights everywhere in this game. It does not look like Ssumday's in a very good position either. Holds on to the flash to get himself out as well. Feels pretty confident about it.
Yeah, that overheated flame spitter actually getting a lot of damage down onto Ssumday there. And Balls is pretty close to 6, so Ssumday knows he has to go back to base, has to respect the fact that he could actually get all in with that equalizer had he not gone back. And actually going to be going towards a Hex Drinker here, so this is very much so a 1v1 style build. You're looking to actually stay in lane against Balls and try to get something done there. It will make you somewhat susceptible, though, to ganks from Moon, because you're not building any armor, because you're not building up any health, the Jarvan, who's going to be doing that physical damage, if he comes and visits this lane, could actually get a lot of work done perhaps on Ssumday.
Yeah, it counters both of what they do. Counters pretty hard. The Harpoon or the Shield.
Yeah.
Even if you hop, you're slowed, so that ground is covered by both Balls and Moon. Gonna have to be careful. You can't teleport back the lane either. That'll be a very long walk. Balls does the same thing. Head back with the Haunting Guise for now as refillable potions come out. Save a few coins here and there. Looks like there might be a rotation from Pi. I don't know how far he's gonna go though. Looks like it's just working.
I really have liked how Dignitas has played this bot lane so far. I think that the early base for a call was very smart. I think that Altec and Adrian managed the waves very well, and the fact that they are even on CS right now and probably going to tie it up as this wave pushes in, and he has a call, and he outscales the Xayah. These are all things working in their favor. They have both gone back and got their Nomad's Medallion, so everyone is kind of accepting probably no kills coming in a 2v2. We can go kind of more greedy routes. We'll see if the junglers can mix things up, though, as everyone is pathing down here. Hai has his ultimate, so this could be a 4-man dive, but would be risky with Shrimp being around.
Keane is just on the edge as well. It doesn't look like he's got too much of an entry into this fight just yet. He gathers with Adrian and Shrimp as they wait.
Pretty key that Shrimp is actually not 6 here, though, but it looks like FlyQuest is not willing to fully commit to this play. So as the mid laner comes back, they're going to actually go back to mid lane, shove that in, and try to just use this as a way to deny some of that farm from Keane, because this is not a cannon wave. If those minions actually get fully pushed up, maybe deny a couple CS, but does not look like Hai is going to have time to actually fully push it in. So it's just going to be maybe 1 or 2 minions lost.
We have a bit more time. It seems like they want to try to activate with Ssumday's teleport being down. But Ssumday could obviously, if alt timing is right, knock Balls out of that teleport as well. It doesn't look like they're going to stop an attempt, though.
Hai's coming down. They're going to do a 5-man dive here on the bot side, and Dignitas is not in position.
It's going to be a party. Who gets the first tank? Lemonnation actually takes aggro. Monsoon on while the team can clean up the rest of the fight. A whoopsie at the end there. A Cathian surprise for Altec.
The heal was available for Lemonnation. I don't think he's actually used to playing with it. Maybe could have survived, but besides that, a near perfect dive from FlyQuest, the support holding the aggro, being able to actually quickly get those 2 kills, and they knock down that first turret. They're now going to send their bot lane up to top, so they have Balls shoving this in, and this was very well executed. The TP comes in pretty early here from Balls, so we can actually start it off after Lemonnation gets aggro. So you see Lemonnation pulls aggro, he backs out to the max range kind of here as the shield is expiring, and this is very well done. He just needed to actually use his heal, and he would have been able to get away. So a little bit of an oopsie there, but still, first turret, first blood, 2 kills, great dive from FlyQuest.
Starting things off, Ssumday teleport down was actually initiated there. So now Dignitas has to know with just in a few seconds they're going to be able to make a teleport play of their own ultimates up. They did not blow too many summoners there, so it's all about getting back what they need when they can. It should be just a few seconds.
Well, and that was actually the TP down from Balls laning, remember? Because he actually chunked Ssumday out.
Solo.
So he kind of started that play for them. The fact that he won lane, made Ssumday TP back to lane, means that they can go for this sort of 5v2 play. And this was really well orchestrated by FlyQuest. It was multiple steps. It's Balls winning topside. It's them actually threatening the dive once, seeing that Shrimp has path to topside, then reinitiating the play. And this was all within the span of a couple minutes. So very well prepared, very well executed here from FlyQuest, and speaks well to their chances here in game number 1.
Great wards from Dignitas to try and slow down FlyQuest pace here. They've covered the top side towards Rift Herald, thinking that will be the next engage. But the map has also changed sides as well with that first turret being down. Moon seems to be hanging out for that Rift Herald as well. FlyQuest has their priorities in order. This is kind of what we both said earlier, is that once they come out of base, something else is already in the mix.
Yeah, they're going to force you to make those decisions time and time again. You have to respond correctly. This time it looks like Dignitas pretty well aware of what's going on, but Moon has actually stayed on this, and I don't think that they noticed that the Rift Herald never came back into the pit. So Moon is actually holding it just outside of the Scuttlecrab vision, and he's just going to finish this off by himself. Dignitas never paid attention to actually check if the Rift Herald passed back through their vision to reset.
That's pretty
He
epic.
actually just stays, and with really good leashing there from Moon, pulls it outside of their vision and finishes it off.
And on top of that, you say the play is great. No extra pressure was being created.
Yeah.
They weren't, or Dignitas wasn't gaining any wards, gaining any time. All snuck out from under their nose, and FlyQuest is doing these one after the other. We'll have to see when Dignitas can bite back.
Now, we will have to see when they actually look to make their play. I think for now, they're probably going to be pretty happy to play it somewhat defensively because you have that Kog'Maw, because you have your Orianna scaling up, and you're assuming that at some point, Ssumday should be able to get a side lane advantage in the 1v1 perhaps against Ball. So there are some ways certainly for them to get back in and look to take advantages, and this is one of them. They just had the base actually stopped on WildTurtle, but it looks like they're going to call off the dive, knowing that Lemonnation could have made his way back up to that top side. So we'll have to see, can FlyQuest actually push the pace? Because they certainly want to look to do that, and they have the tools to do so, right? Yeah. With the equalizer, with the dive of Jarvan and Galio in combination, this is a very, very powerful dive comp, and they can look to push the pace. And if you can get a dive pulled off when you have the Rift Herald in your back pocket, that can mean not only one turret, it can mean two, and a really big gold advantage.
And they have the team that can keep pushing as well. A lot of area of control from these guys. Just keeps pushing you off and sieging those turrets, as you said. It's all now within 12.5 minutes. A thing that can get scary is these early game feels so good, and then one big ace fight from Dignitas can swing it back around. We're hitting item spike points. We're hitting things where people are starting to come online. So it's also a place where FlyQuest has to be careful. They don't get too ahead of themselves as they continue this pressure. Great warding to shut down what Dignitas was putting on the top side so far in vision.
Yeah, exactly. You are ahead, but you're not insanely ahead, right?
Yeah.
You can't dive with reckless abandon. You have to have properly set up dives like they did on the bot side. And if they can actually, get TPs out, get advantages in these ways, and then go for the play, then they can look to actually extend that advantage. But for now, I really think their focus is going to be around how do we get the best possible Rift Herald down? Because they have gotten that objective. And for now, it's only 100 gold. If you can actually catch this in on a couple turrets, then it starts to be a big deal.
I feel like it would almost be a fight towards that top side. A good push has always been towards Altec. They can't really keep the waves totally cleared. Too many wards for now, though. Dignitas doing a great job at setting up that security on their side. It'll see Moon coming in, and you'll see Shrimp start to rotate up.
And Altec kind of continuing this scaling build that he's going for. He just cashed in his call. He's going straight towards a Rage Blade, which is really kind of the optimal DPS style build. But they're actually roaming up, threatening a dive here. A 3-man already in position for Dignitas, so the dive will be called off, but just the threat of Moon being up here draws the jungler up, so not really anything lost for FlyQuest to actually make that move because Shrimp has to respond and respect it.
This becomes quite fun for Ssumday. Much different lane than it was at levels 1, 2, and 3. That Hex Drinker paying off, and now he's got the Phage for some speed.
Yeah, the Hex Drinker is just so ridiculously efficient in that 1v1, and Balls did not actually itemize for 1v1. He built for the team fights, so the Merc Treads not really going to help you that much against the Gnar. Yes, it's a tenacity for the stuns, but something like Ninja Tabbies would be way more effective. And likewise, grabbing an early arm guard, Seeker's arm guard, will be very effective in that 1v1, but he's trying to itemize to destroy people in team fights. They know they need to push the pace, and that's how he's going to try to play it. And so far, to his credit, he's doing very well, but Ssumday can itemize for that 1v1 because he knows that the only people who will match him in side lane is one of the soul laners. Both of them are AP.
Should feel good for him. One of those players that plays with that confidence we were talking about earlier to kind of wade through unfortunate situations, know that there's still an end game to his play, and a mid game here for Keane. I believe Shrimp trying to get the kill. High's able to just kind of knock him in the face real quick. Could go down here as he throws out the entrance for safety. And actually the exit. He gets himself to the turret. Ssumday can't make his way in for the kill.
Will be okay, but that's kind of a loss there for FlyQuest because we were talking a lot about how can they maximize that Rift Herald. And what did they really get? Not much, right? They maybe, you could say, okay, well, they get some ultimates out or something, but it cost them the flash of High even just in that skirmish. The Rift Herald doesn't even get its charge off on the mid lane. So really you're only left with the positive gold from the actual killing blow on it, which is only going to be a 75 gold advantage because it gives over 25 for the last hit to the opponent. So really not able to capitalize on that whatsoever, and the gold lead not that big for FlyQuest. That's one of their advantages out the window, and Dignitas still scaling.
Yeah, played it in 2 spots. When I saw the Essence Reaver and Ardent Sensor come in for WildTurtle, right as they came back to this lane, I thought that's where the fight would be going. Quite a power spike for those two. especially against hardly built items on the side of Altec and Adrian.
Yeah, it's a big call out. I mean, the fact that you completed that Essence Reaver with that Ardent Sensor, you're at a very strong point. And one of the problems with Rageblade is it's very expensive, and the components individually don't always feel that good to buy, right? You know, the next component is actually going to be a blasting one. They need to back off because there's no protection from the turret, and Jarvan is here, but he was spotted. So still, at least FlyQuest able to utilize their power in that bot lane to knock down another turret and get some more gold.
The scary thing about playing against Nami, though, the farther you get in those turrets, the longer the wave can attack you, and you have to get out. I think FlyQuest realizing that.
Yeah, and realizing that Shrimp could be up there. And
that's true. That's true.
You know, now, thankfully for Dignitas, Rageblade is complete, so that is a very, very big deal for Altec, and I'm expecting him probably just go straight into a Hurricane now, kind of maximize DPS, because when you look at the FlyQuest composition, there's 3 melee characters which will be diving in, and when you're actually able to hit the maximum amount of characters with that Rageblade Hurricane, when you're hitting the Rumble and the Jarvan and the Galio, as long as your team can protect you, you will shred through the front line. And it makes it very, very difficult for FlyQuest to win any protracted fight, any really long fight.
All right, let's see how they have kind of spread out now. 17.5 minutes into the game, just a 2,000 gold lead in favor of FlyQuest. So Dignitas has been able to hold off, but not find those turrets yet. Still a bit of money sitting right in front of them. They just have to find the fight to open it up here. Still charging up. Not exactly like they want to fight right away, so they're doing a good job in their own strategy.
Yeah, they're certainly doing fine, but I think that Dignitas is happy to play it slow more than FlyQuest is. You know, FlyQuest, they're not under pressure to like, oh god, if they don't do something now, they lose the game. It's certainly not anywhere near that stage, but it is that ticking time bomb you feel a little bit, right? And while you can still win late game team fights if you can pull off the proper dive and kill off Kog'Maw, if you cannot instantly kill off the Kog'Maw, Kog'Maw will kill everyone else. So that's always what you have to worry about. There's the Storm Raider Surge proc.
They knew it was in the brush. They pinged it twice. He had Lemonnation pretty far behind. They are starting to pull Dignitas around the map, but they're not getting much out of that.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how scary that Kog'Maw gets, and that's without actually, the Tidecaller's blessing for Kog'Maw, which makes it so much stronger because not only are you slowing them down, you get the additional speed boost from that Nami passive. So it works kind of doubly to keep them in your range and allow Kog'Maw to really maximize how many auto attacks he can get off.
People kind of like again, the word respect. They're like, oh yeah, a few shots will go off, but the Storm Raider Surge, as you're saying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Off guard.
Like you're expecting to be able to, okay, maybe you take a couple hits, but then you get out of range.
Yeah.
But the problem is with that Storm Raider Surge, it allows them to stay in range and very easily kind of stay up on you. So FlyQuest now going to move their attention down to the bot side. They have had vision control in this area for a little bit of time, and they know that the bot lane was on top side for Dignitas, so they have numbers advantage. They take the easy objective. But this is a time in the game where you have to feel Ssumday, could maybe start taking over in that 1v1. Now that he has the Black Cleaver plus that Hex Drinker completed, he has his tier 2 boost, especially if they can actually knock down some turrets for him. If balls get stuck in a long lane, it can be very, very tough to be able to actually stay safe against a Gnar.
What do you have so far? Trying to see if Moon has used this Night Vow. I don't think he's attached just yet. Still waiting to see where it's going to go for the fight. But Night's Vow for Moon and a little bit of armor for Shrimp in that last buy. So these guys are trying to get tanky.
Yeah, Shrimp going to be going for a Night's Vow here too. Certainly expecting them to leash with the AD carries. One thing that you can use in your own games that you will see some of the pro players who actually are very comfortable with the item is you can switch it around during the fight. So if your AD carry goes down, leash with your mid laner very quickly. You can actually turn around and fight sometimes with the added bonus of swapping that back and forth. So it's good to always be cognizant of who you're with. And Ssumday actually looking for a fight, but he is taking a lot of turret shots.
Ooh. Balls didn't want to overheat just there and knew the resulting fight would still be his in a 1v1. We'll see what happens. Mid could have it.
That's a flash down Balls without really much commitment from Ssumday. So Balls now has to leave this turret probably because Ssumday, with that transform, you get some of the health back. You can actually sustain back up and look to threaten another dive pretty easily once you have that rage bar ready again. So Balls definitely going to have to play with some respect here. His turret is getting chipped down and does a good job dodging the boomerang for the most part.
Keeping it right at that 90% mark. Let's see where Ssumday goes. Says, I'm not going to have my rage bar here, but I am going to go ahead and get a little healthy.
That's a smart move. Move up, just knock down some vision, heal back up from that plan, and then go straight back to bot. And he's going to get down the bot, continue to pressure this turret. Balls has picked up his Void Staff to actually deal with some of the MR that was purchased up, so that will help him out damage-wise in this 1v1, but he still does not really have that much survivability whatsoever. There is no Zhonya's, there's no Tabbies. This is certainly all about doing damage. It's not really about being able to survive these long fights.
This might be one of the closest games we've really had in farm recently between all the lanes. There is about 20 discrepancy. Keane's just starting to capitalize here as we saw High leave the lane there. But that was very close just a second ago. Anything could happen in this game with the next initiation. We haven't really seen an equalizer hit anything. We haven't seen a shockwave even hit too much here, and that could be a big possibility with both Moon and High jumping in. So these fights could be super interesting.
And it's a good point, because when you haven't actually had a fight in a really long time, sometimes it's hard to get a good read on how much damage abilities will deal, and you can really lose track.
Bless you.
Thank you. When you get to that 2-item stage, we haven't really seen any fights, right? So they don't know exactly how much damage sometimes is coming out. It's hard to actually measure that properly, but Ssumday eventually does chip down that turret, and this is that 1v1 kind of split push advantage that we were talking about, and the fact that Dignitas is essentially even in gold. Yes, there is a small edge to FlyQuest, but it's not big enough of a deal to really matter at this point. I do feel like FlyQuest at some point has to make the call to really start pushing, to really start trying to get things done, because Dignitas is getting strong. I mean, these are big item completions coming through. We're almost at the Ardent Sensor for Adrian. Probably next base he will have that. This is already a 2-item Kog'Maw. This is a 2-item Orianna. We have the nice Val completed for Shrimp, and Maw plus Black Cleaver is ridiculously good in the 1v1 against Rumble or High. So Dignitas, I favor them in this spot, despite the small gold disadvantage in the Dragon on the
It is. Having the Dragon taken away from FlyQuest, I feel like almost they need that to fight around. They need to find that thing to fight around. One hit onto Moon, the shockwave goes down. Ssumday in, kicks back both WildTurtle and Lemonnation. The hit in from High, and will they be able to deliver the damage? Balls is kind of skirting around with just a sliver of health, but nobody has gone down yet somehow here. High gets himself out. As soon as he jumped in, Dignitas kind of scattered.
And FlyQuest gets the HP advantage there. They will have the push, but critically, all their major ultimates, except for the Xayah, are down, so they could turn this fight around.
I mean, they almost could. Look at the flashes down for Dignitas as well. So the follow is hard, and the chase is hard. They all went off at the same time, basically.
And FlyQuest finally at least exerts some pressure. They knock down a turret. Critically, though, Kog'Maw has both summoners still available. That is really the one that you have to track. That's the most important summoner in the game, bar none, is that Kog'Maw flash. You need to know when it's up, when it's down. FlyQuest was unable to actually force that out because the Equalizer just barely did not actually clip over onto him. So lots of summoners expended on both sides. FlyQuest with a bit of an edge, but Dignitas is going to get right back to that side lane pressure. You can see Infernal Dragon is going to be the next one coming up, and they're trying to establish vision control around that. That could be a really key point to contest. If we see the teams want to fight over that, we're going to have to remember the Kog'Maw summoners, and we'll see if actually FlyQuest can force out a good fight.
That tidal wave basically has Altec's name on it. If he gets hit, he gets saved by the tidal wave.
Yeah.
Everybody in front
all
of him.
about protecting him. Every man that has to be sacrificed to keep the Kog'Maw alive.
Also has had very good positioning here. Decent positioning, I should say. Got to earn the very good. Throughout the end of the split, and most of the games we saw as well at the Garden.
Yeah, and they are starting it up. But Kog'Maw's on the top side, so this is pretty risky for Ssumday to actually be starting. FlyQuest will move down, and it's going to be... Oh my god, Keane actually stole that away.
Yeah, he did. That's not going to be fun.
Moon was there. He actually just... I believe he was there. I'm not actually 100% sure, but either way, Keane gonna walk away with the Infernal, and that feels pretty bad for FlyQuest. Knowing that Kog'Maw was on the top side, they really had no right to get there, and yeah,
Moon's there.
Moon is there. Oh, that is actually pretty tough. The smite actually doesn't deal that much more damage. It's 720 damage, so that was actually pretty close. Just that QW combo, very well timed by Keane. So yes, it is a mistake from Moon, but that's a tough one.
Whoa, huge pen from Balls. The Void Staff.
Oh, nice body slam.
Moon in. Tsunami's going to go out. The tidal wave does not lock anybody down long enough for the engage here. Look at the bot lane, though. Ssumday is having a field day.
Exactly. That was actually such a good body slam from Shrimp, interrupting the combo, not allowing Moon to get forward and get that Cataclysm down. FlyQuest is actually starting up the Baron. They're feeling the pressure here, but TP is available for Ssumday. Will he keep going, or will he actually TP to join? Because they may feel that they can disengage us with 4 men.
Shrimp's ult is down. Those flashes are down. Altec is up. They have an idea of who to go for. And Altec flashes out, sitting pretty. He's going to start shooting off. High has him in his eyes when he's trying to get out of the winds of war. Ball's flashing forward, able to get the kill. And then now on to Ssumday and Adrian at the bot side of the screen. Shrimp looking to peel them off just a little bit more over the wall. Throws himself into the fire, but it's just too much damage coming in from FlyQuest. And Shrimp makes it out alive, but they do lose one more member.
Yeah, Ssumday diving in there, but he is very squishy, has not built up any real tank items yet in FlyQuest. They're going to stay around. They want to try to pressure this Baron. It was a beautiful taunt flash there from high, getting onto Kog'Maw, taking him down. Shrimp does still have Smite, but he has no vision, and this is going to be a tough one to actually try to steal away. He's very low health. We'll see if FlyQuest goes for the play. Are they going to stop damage?
High putting himself there for the body stop. He could also try to just punch him in the face and keep him on the other side of the wall if it happens in time. Big play by Shrimp. Is a flash about to be up in 15 seconds. It could be a part of this play, or it could be down enough for him to die, and it is going to be the death as WildTurtle pulls back on the feathers, securing the kill and the Baron.
Very good play here from FlyQuest. They force the play, and they're able to secure the Baron very, very well. Good patient play, and here it is once again. They know that Ssumday is pushing on the bot side. They want to force him up for a fight. FlyQuest looks for the engagement very, very quickly. Now the TP comes in, but Keane already in a lot of trouble. Keane going down that early is a major damage source, and the taunt landing onto Altec, not able to actually get away from that, meant that all their damage is essentially down. Somebody trying to go for the big play, but he is very squishy, and as he jumps in, look at him just get shredded by Balls and WildTurtle there. Very nice stuff from FlyQuest, and they finally have that sort of advantage that they would have needed to try to push the pace. We'll see if they can actually capitalize and get a lot of gold with this Baron.
And look where these two came from. 3-0-3 Rumble for Balls, 2-0-4 on WildTurtle Xayah, and 1-0-5 here for High. They built the team to just basically be in and out, and they're able to get enough kills on the way in.
And it is very important, though, that they get a lot of turrets down with this Baron, because their advantage is not that big yet, and this team is still getting very powerful. The Void Staff coming in for Keane is so big with how much MR is being stacked across the board, but they're actually pushing straight in. And Dignitas was not in position. Altec was back in base.
What you expect from FlyQuest. They just continue to force. They use quite a bit just to take down Moon, but they say you're not getting any farther inside this base. Ssumday actually gets his Mega Gnar locked up there. Doesn't seem like he's going to have a position to use it, though, as it just happens over by Wolves. And a good disengage. Dignitas is trying to stop backs, but there's not much they can do but push waves here once they stop.
At least they have released some of the pressure by actually getting that kill on Moon. But FlyQuest did push and get a couple turrets, and since they did so quickly with their Baron buff, Ssumday's actually in trouble here.
Equalizer is up if they decide to go for a full fight. No vision on the rest of Dignitas. So while FlyQuest is still trying to get everything and a bag of chips, they do know when to say too much, let's back.
Yeah, and Moon is going to be coming up soon. They're doing a quick reset now, going back to spend their gold and really forcing down that turret quickly. It was a nice CC combo, though, onto Moon, actually knocking him back with the Gragas ultimate and pulling him out of his flag and drag with the Orianna shockwave. So well done to actually combo that and take him down. We'll see if FlyQuest can actually get any more, though, with the Baron buff, because they still do have some time on it. They have about a quarter of that Baron buff remaining, and it's still on 4 members.
Wards probably stay focused towards the bottom side of that map with the inhib open. We'll see the rest of vision from FlyQuest being put there if Balls doesn't start to head top. He actually stays with the team. Even teleport there. They're going to go for the full fight. They feel like they can just win it.
I mean, FlyQuest is going to try to force for the 1v1s. You can see Ssumday is building purely for that side lane, whereas FlyQuest is going to force for the team fights rather. And this is going to be really scary for Ssumday, because while he is going to do a lot of damage, he has 0 armor. literally purchased 0 armor, right? And WildTurtle is going to shred him. WildTurtle's already up to the inhibitor. They're just probably going to be able to knock this down. High does not have TP, so he couldn't join. Dignitas may try to force the fight here.
All right.
Yeah, that's what vision control will do for you. There's no vision from Dignitas on the bot side of the map. FlyQuest had actually cleared a lot of this out, had a good line of vision over on this side of the jungle, and we're just not spotted. They got straight up there. The Infernal is now up. They're going to be looking to fight for this, and Ssumday, his Mega's already popped now, so FlyQuest just needs to play defensively around this, and then they can shred him down.
All right, heading into this fight, eyes on Ssumday for now. Obviously, Altec on that backside. Look at High here on the left. We'll see how they get in. High is going to start to dive in. Moves, tries to get right onto Altec on the back line. They succeed. A great redemption keeps him alive for one more second. He's able to peel. He's able to kite. They keep Altec alive. But is it enough? The bottom side of the fight was High. WildTurtle, Lemon, and Balls shredding the rest of Dignitas.
And they're actually going to look to try to end the game here. These are very long res timers. The inhibitor is already down. They have the minion wave. FlyQuest is known for these aggressive calls. Will they be able to pull off the finish?
Heading for that open inhib towards the bot side. Hitting the Nexus turrets from one side is easier, as not all the minions will get attacked by both turrets. So they could be able to whittle this down very fast.
Dig needs to knock out the minions they have, but they're on Altec!
Altec gets deleted immediately. The one guy that can start to shred these waves that come in, and now they're after Ssumday. He says, walk this way.
Yeah, Ssumday has to cut the waves. They're going to try to walk in this wave, but people are respawning, and FlyQuest is low, so they make the call to back off. And sometimes calls like this can bite you, because maybe they could have just gotten a second inhibitor very safely.
True.
Instead, they try to go for the end, and now they're going to retreat back to the Infernal. They should be able to pick this up, but Dignitas does stay alive.
They are trying to make big moves now, seeing that some of the waves are pushed up. We'll see this fight again as it went pretty long.
Such a good engage from Moon over the wall here. Catches multiple members. The equalizer is pretty well placed, but you can see Altec just barely gets out of it on the corner. He's able to stay alive for a long time, which is really what keeps Dignitas in this game. But the front line is almost non-existent for Dig right now. These guys don't really have too many tanky stats built up. It's pretty much just Shrimp, right? So Ssumday is getting shredded. WildTurtle has gone for this pure damage style build. Triple BF sword items on WildTurtle already completed, and he's going to be doing so much punishment to this knock.
The barrier heal there as well got him up so high, and having that barrier right with the heal kind of protects that health you just got really nice, so they can't just instantly burst it away. What a combo. Beautifully done on both sides of that fight.
I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that he's going to have 400 AD. Like, this is a 400 AD Xayah with the Janna shield, which is going to be up on him almost non-stop. And yes, he's not on a double Zeal item, but he has the Ardent Sensor, which is going to give him more attack speed there as well. So this guy is going to be doing so much damage in the fight. And I think that he has tailored his build quite intelligently, since Ssumday actually went so heavily for the magic resist, didn't elect to actually go into much armor. And he has this window where he's very strong. He's a full item and a full expensive item ahead of Altec. But Altec, if he can get free in this fight, still could take over.
2.5 thousand basically ahead there with that item. 405 definitely being a focus. We said it might come from Turtle towards that bot side. He has been having those playoff Turtle moments where you see him hopping around on what would be a Tristana getting quadra kills, and now it's flying around on a Xayah.
I mean, Turtle is a guy that catches flack when he falls flat, but his good moments are so good because he's willing to play that fine line. He's willing to go very risky for that big play. And when he pulls it off, it is brilliant. And FlyQuest starting up the Baron, they're trying to force a fight. Moon is in position to flank here. We'll see if they can pull it off.
Ssumday, half bar. Shrimp looking for that initiation on the way in. Eyes on Turtle. Keane is also on the bottom side of the fight, and Altec is just approached in the brush.
Remember, there's no smite in the pit for FlyQuest. They have spotted Moon, and somebody's trying to chase him out. Dignitas could move in, but Altec is actually pushing mid lane. So they're trying to get mid lane priority. FlyQuest needs to make a decision. Do you go back on Baron, or do you peel for the fight?
Beautiful job. They're playing a fight on two fronts here, but like you said, which is the bigger one? That turret leads down mid. It opens up vision. The Baron can lead to the base.
Ssumday's Gnar bar is perfectly ready for this fight, and Dignitas dancing this line very well. FlyQuest not willing to commit, and now they're going for the
One
fight.
hit, punches him in the face. Actually, no big hit from Ssumday. Still an ult there if he can get a jump in, but it's been used, and it looks like this will fizzle out for now. They see Moon on the backside, and that will also disengage the team fight a bit.
And FlyQuest also knows that the super minions are pushing in bot lane, so the Nexus turrets are under threat. The longer they keep them around here, the more pressure that's going to be under. And High does base. They're looking to engage right now with the Galio ult.
Moon, a close ulti, still got to take to the air. Keane's on the right side. Altec in a good spot, getting burned by the Rumble Equalizer to start. Featherstorm goes out, and they're able to lock down Ssumday in the front. Shrimp tries to be the tank now for the team. Altec may not have enough barrier to get himself to safety as Adrian goes down, and now Keane and the team have to run for safety, but they're not going to make it. High in the middle, tries to get the taunt, but it's just enough room. The heals of Altec and the rest of the team make the distance. Blast Cone in the way, relentless fight from FlyQuest. Moon over the wall, gonna get the double pop up. There it is, onto both members. Balls is inside the base. What is this? 14-4, FlyQuest cleans up Dignitas.
They're going to take the game here. Riv, the inhibitor, already knocked down. Balls had TP'd into the base. The Nexus turret is low. That's going to be it.
Absolutely a crazy start to the game. A back and forth in the mid, and then FlyQuest again, pedal to the metal. And we're going to a game 2 as FlyQuest takes down Dignitas in game 1.
FlyQuest with very aggressive calls here, very bold plays, constantly going back to the Baron, forcing the hand of Dignitas, and they pulled off the engages well when they had to. A lot of credit, I think, goes over to Moon for finding these flanks, for finding these engages that High could then follow up on, and really a very, very strong game here from WildTurtle too. Really tailoring his build well for the game and getting out a lot of damage in these fights.
And knowing as well that it seemed at some point they said, all right, Dignitas is waiting, and we have allowed them to wait way too long. We need to start pulling the trigger. I started saying it seems like with that early win or Cloud Drake taken, they don't have too much to fight over. They had the Rift Herald that fell flat. What did they fight over? They just started a fight in the mid lane finally.
Yeah.
It wasn't over anything.
Yeah, exactly. They're just able to force it. They had some pretty good vision control. They find out where Dignitas is on the map, and they try to take odd man fights, and they constantly force their hand. I think the grouping made a lot of sense, especially because Ssumday built so much for the 1v1. Yeah. What did he really get in a side lane? Not much.
Absolutely. So for more on that game 1, we are going to send it over to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much, Riv. FlyQuest out hot with game 1 here in this best of 5, so no reverse sweep necessary for the FlyQuest members if they are to come away with the victory here.
They're doomed. I mean, it was a great run, FlyQuest, but
let's take a look at how they put it together, though, because glancing at champions like the casters hit it, definitely more early game focus out of FlyQuest, while Dignitas kind of relying on that later game scaling.
It's interesting, right? Because they had a very narrow window with how this composition works. The trio of having the Rumble, Jarvan, and Galio is a known quantity as a very good combo, but you get that one shot where you have to use all your ultimates. So if at any point Dig was able to outscale, get stronger in 5v5s, get a strong split push, all of those things could have led to victory for Dignitas, but FlyQuest played very well towards those win conditions.
Right, and that point almost happened. We almost got to that point in the game where Dignitas was able to itemize ahead of the damage that was able to be dealt from FlyQuest, but FlyQuest made many small plays throughout the game in order to continue building an advantage. The first one comes 8:30 into the game, a dive around the bot lane.
And this is the best place for this kind of play to happen. You just have everyone kind of TP down here. They have the wave pushed in. Not the cleanest dive in terms of landing everything, but it's a 5v2, so it's very easy to pull off. And they were actually able to set the Kog'Maw behind while getting, as Lemonnation goes down to the Kog'Maw, he didn't notice with heal and flash up. They still got the kill. I think they got 1 kill onto WildTurtle, which was huge because he is the only kind of consistent DPS in that team other than the Rumble, because the Galio, Jarvan not doing too much. And he got really, really big. And then when you combo that with the fact that the Gnar was not building any armor, it actually turned Turtle into a complete monster in this game.
I mean, both damage dealers on the side of FlyQuest, the Rumble as well, Balls picking up plenty of kills, had a very impressive score line out of him. So, the fact that the kills were falling in the right place as well in terms of keeping those damage numbers up was definitely beneficial for FlyQuest. But yeah, now I want to talk about that part of the game where things started to get a little worrisome for FlyQuest. We saw an Infernal Drake taken away, and it looked for a moment like FlyQuest didn't necessarily know what the next steps were.
Yeah, and classic FlyQuest, Baron. Let's go. Infernal Drake has been stolen by Orianna. Time to go for Baron. But they were very decisive around the Baron objective. They peeled off before it was in smite range. They want to fight. Then when they went back for it the other time, they killed the Gragas before Baron was down. So this did, at the time, feel like a little bit of a tilt play. If this goes wrong, everything falls apart because they're not going to be able to come back in the game. But they did make the fight happen.
Especially how it started to kind of, just flying in as the Jarvan, doesn't actually get the Kog'Maw, but fortunately Fly does find the follow-up. They get the taunt on the Kog'Maw. Once he drops, there's no big threat down. Orianna is dead, no members. And then right there, their pull-through onto Gnar did so much damage from the Xayah E because he hadn't built any armor yet. And it was a situation where he's at half health, he's about to go Mega Gnar, you think he's going to stun everyone up on the wall. It looked winnable until he jumps onto the Xayah who gets that full damage. And it's basically, does 1,500 damage, just insta-kills him.
And this is where we have to get a little bit critical of Ssumday, right? He is supposed to be the star of this team, and he was going for a hard split push build against Rumble. We're okay with the Mercury Treads and the Maw, but then when he goes for another full magic resist item, before building even a cloth armor, he just gets shredded every time they have to team fight. So if Ssumday is going to play with a team ever, he has to build differently. And we saw this in the third place match when he built the Duskblade on Jarvan and then lost a 1v1 duel to Jarvan. He is not building properly in these games, and he needs to build smarter for the team play.
And what does this mean for Dignitas? Because we already had some concerns coming into the day itself that with the 0-3 loss from CLG, there may be, a little bit of, a mental fatigue, right? That they might be a little bit down in the dumps, and if they couldn't turn it around here in game one, it could spell even more disaster for them.
I mean, like we said, that we heard some grumblings behind the scene, not looking too good, and then you see this Ssumday build, and it's very easy to kind of connect the dots to say the team is losing confidence. Ssumday feels like, I'm the carry, I'm the superstar, let me try and take on a bigger load, and it just kind of sets your team up for failure because you're thinking, I got a solo carry this game instead of, I've got a front line for this Kog'Maw that hopefully gets online at some point in this game.
They did look out of sync. The early game jungle from FlyQuest was more cohesive. The fact that Altec recalled at level 2 to buy a call to set them in even more of an early game hole, those are all worrisome things for Dignitas. But that shouldn't fully take away from FlyQuest looking good.
Right.
FlyQuest, for most of the summer split, looked pretty bad. But in the early game, they were outlaning Dignitas, even though a lot of their plays looked very straightforward and their composition was execute these 3 things for victory. They did those things. So FlyQuest surprised me with how good they looked in this.
Do you have enough confidence from the game one that you'd be willing to run back on the side of FlyQuest compositions similar to this, more early game focus, press for advantages, but if we don't find them, we may be forfeiting the game in a 5v5 team fight in the later stages?
I think if Dig gives you the opportunity to run this comp again, you take it. It's just something that is relatively easy to ban out because J4 Galio is such a known quantity, like you were saying. It's very easy to say, ban the Galio. That gets rid of this really early game roaming, diving powerhouse. J4 can still do that. He's still a very strong pick. You see he can test all the time, but it does get rid of a lot of this very specific power, especially when you have a mobile backline like Orianna Kog'Maw.
Well, it may not be on the cusp of a reverse sweep, but FlyQuest have picked up their first win on the road to Worlds. When we return, see if Team Dignitas can even up the score and keep their gauntlet dreams alive.